Hello students, myself is Dr. Peenal Shah. Now once again we are continuing with respiratory system. Today's topic is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease is characterized by increasing resistance to airflow due to partial or complete obstruction at any level from trachea and larger bronchi to the terminal and respiratory bronchioles. The following entities are included in COPD: bronchiectasis, asthma, emphysema and chronic bronchitis. We have already discussed bronchiectasis. Today we will discuss emphysema and chronic bronchitis. What is emphysema? It is characterized by an abnormal permanent enlargement of air space distal to the terminal bronchiole accompanied by destruction of their walls without obvious fibrosis. So it is an abnormal enlargement of air space distal to the terminal bronchiole along with the destruction of their wall. This photograph shows the normal alveoli and alveoli with emphysema. We can see the normal alveoli they are well demarcated, and in case of emphysema there is a destruction of the alveolar wall and they were become enlarged. Once again we can see the enlarged alveoli in case of emphysema and mucus in the bronchiole. Now coming to the etiopathogenesis, the major two factors which contribute into the etiology of the development of emphysema, one is a tobacco smoke and second is a air pollutant, and third one is one enzyme deficiency, that is alpha 1 antitrypsin. So how the air pollution or smoking leads to development of emphysema? So we'll start with the normal lung. Suppose we can see in this figure there is a person who is a smoker, and let us zoom into the alveoli. If we see the structure of alveoli, normal alveoli, it is made up of elastic fibers, and it allows the recoiling of lung during inspiration and expiration. And the alveoli have a pneumocyte, type 1 pneumocyte, type 2 pneumocytes and alveolar macrophage. This alveolar macrophage give protection against the entry of any pathogens. Normally this elasticity or recoiling is possible because there is a secretion of anti-protease enzyme by the alveoli, and there is a balance between protease and anti-protease enzyme. If one of it is increased, then this recoiling will be not possible. So there is always a balance between elastase and anti-elastase enzyme. So emphysema is caused when there is an imbalance between protease and in-protease. So how this occurs? Normally these lung alveoli have a walls, and in wall there is a capillaries through which the blood gas exchange will occur. Oxygen will go inside the blood and carbon dioxide will come out. Whenever there is a person is a smoker, this smoke induces a toxins. So reactive oxidative toxins are induced and it will go inside the alveoli. So it will generate inflammatory response. Now the protective cells, alveolar macrophage, they are become activated and they try to remove these reactive oxidative toxins. Basically there is a formation of free radicals. So they will secrete various inflammatory mediators like interleukin 6, 8, TNF alpha and leukotriene 4, and this will enhance the infiltration of neutrophils from this capillary into this area. And when the neutrophil will come inside this area, the neutrophils are rich in an enzyme that is a protease or elastase. So ultimately there is a more and more recruitment of neutrophil and they are rich in elastase, so they will destroy or damage to the elastic fiber of this lung tissue. Along with that, macrophage also secrete the metalloprotease, and this will also enhance the damage of the elastic fiber of the lung tissue. and there is a activation of T lymphocytes in this area, and this will induce a T cell mediated apoptosis, and ultimately the whole elastic tissue will be damaged and it will be replaced by a fibrosis. So now look into step by step. So this figure shows there is a smoke particles which goes inside the lung alveoli, and there is activation of alveolar macrophages. Now this alveolar macrophage will secrete various interleukins and call the neutrophils. So neutrophil is come and neutrophils are rich in enzyme elastase. So now there is more and more secretion of elastase. So anti-elastase is decreased and elastase is increased. So there is an imbalance between elastase and anti-elastase, and this elastase will damage the elastic fiber of the lung tissue. And secondly, whenever there is a person is having any congenital deficiency of alpha-1 antitrypsin, so it's a deficiency of anti-elastase enzyme. So they are more prone for such type of damage because they don't have a anti-elastase enzyme. So there is a more chances of damage. So the figure shows a tobacco smoke which induce a reactive oxygen species free radicals, and it will leads to activation of macrophages. This macrophage will secrete various interleukins like interleukin 6, TNF alpha, leukotriene B4, and it will cause the infiltration of neutrophil into the alveoli, and this neutrophil will secrete more and more elastase and leads to tissue damage. Along with this alveolar macrophage also activate the metalloprotease, and it will also damage to the lung alveoli. And all these effects are more in case of patients with a congenital alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. So all this activity will leads to damage of the elastic tissue of the lung. So ultimately there is a destruction of elastic fibers, loss of elastic recoiling of the lung, and it will leads to the expiratory narrowing of small airways and airflow obstruction. And destruction of the alveolar septa leads to reduced gas surface area for the gas exchange, and it leads to hypoxia. Now what happens if person has having a defect in the elasticity of the lungs? So whenever normally what occurs when we breathe air, the air will go inside during the inspiration and it will come outside during the expiration. But in case of emphysema, during the inspiration alveoli expands and air will go inside, but there is a damage of elastic tissue, so there is a defective or absence recoiling system. So air cannot go outside and there is a air trapping, means more and more air trapped inside the lung. Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Alpha-1 antitrypsin is an enzyme which is also called alpha-1 protease inhibitor. It is located on the chromosome 14, and normal function of alpha-1 antitrypsin is to inhibit the protease. It is an autosomal codominant inheritance. Normal person have a alleles of PIMM. If the person is deficient is in alpha this enzyme having a alleles of PIZZ, and null type is PI null, and dysfunctional is PISS phenotype. So ultimately the smoking leads to increased inflammatory cells recruitment and increased protease and elastic damage, and it also inhibits the alpha-1 antitrypsin enzyme and decrease antiprotease activity and increase protease activity. So both will leads to elastic damage and development of emphysema. What is the incidence? The emphysema is present in approximately 50% of the adults who come to the autopsy, and the pulmonary disease was considered to be the responsible for the death in 6.5% of this patient. Now coming to the types of the emphysema, it is according to the anatomical distribution within the lobule. It is divided into centriacinar type, that is the most common type of emphysema, panacinar type, paraseptal or distal acinar type, or irregular. Before discussing the types of emphysema, just revise what is the acinus. The acinus is composed of respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts and alveolar sacs, and each pulmonary lobule contain a 3 to 5 terminal bronchioles with acini is referred as a pulmonary lobule. And lobular architecture is important in differentiation of major forms of emphysema. First is a centriacinar type of emphysema. It occurs in the smokers association with chronic bronchitis. In the centriacinar type of emphysema, the central or proximal part of acini, which is formed by respiratory bronchioles, are affected while the distal are spared. Thus, both emphysematous and normal airspace are exist in same acinus and lobule. It is more common and severe in upper part of the lobe. The wall of emphysematous space contain a black pigment and inflammation around bronchi and bronchioles. This figure demonstrates the centriacinar type of emphysema, in which we can see the only respiratory bronchioles are involved, alveolar ducts and alveoli are normal. Second is a pan-acinar type of emphysema. It occurs usually in the patients of alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Acini uniformly enlarge from the level of respiratory bronchiole to the terminal alveoli. So it is the term prefix pan means the entire acinus is involved, not the entire lung but the entire acinus is involved. Acinus means respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts and alveolar sacs. It is most commonly seen in the lower zone of the lung and anterior margin of the lung, and usually most severe at the base. This figure demonstrates the pan-acinar type of emphysema, in which respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts and alveoli, the whole is involved. The whole acinus is involved. Third category is a distal acinar or paraseptal emphysema, in which the proximal portion of acinus is normal but the distal part is involved. The emphysema is more striking adjacent to the pleura, along the lobular connective tissue septa and at the margin of the lobule. It occurs adjacent to the areas of fibrosis, scarring and atelectasis, more severe in the upper half of the lung. We can see the distal acinar emphysema in this photograph. The characteristic findings are of multiple, continuous and large airspace less than 0.5 cm to more than 2 cm in diameter, and sometimes forming a cyst-like structure with spontaneous pneumothorax. The fourth category is irregular emphysema. Irregular emphysema is a name because acinus is irregularly enlarged and it is associated with scarring. It is the most common type, which found in the autopsy, shows one or more scar from the healed inflammatory process, and it is asymptomatic and clinically insignificant. So to summarize all four types of emphysema, first is the centriacinar emphysema, in which the proximal part respiratory bronchioles is involved. Second is a pan-acinar or pan-lobular type, in which all the acinus means respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts and alveoli involved. Third is a paraseptal or distal acinar, in which the only distal part, alveolar sacs and alveolar ducts are involved. And the last one is irregular emphysema, in which we can see the irregular involvement of the acinus. Now coming to the morphological features of emphysema. What is the gross appearance in case of emphysema? Pan-acinar emphysema, it involves the whole acinus, so it produces a voluminous lung, often overlapping the heart and hiding it when the anterior chest wall is removed. In centriacinar emphysema, the lungs might not be that much voluminous unless until it is an advanced disease. The large apical blebs or bullae are the most characteristic features of irregular emphysema, secondary to scarring or of distal acinar emphysema. The figure shows the centriacinar emphysema and pan-acinar emphysema, in which centriacinar emphysema we can show the areas of emphysematous change, means dilated alveolus, and surrounding area is of normal because there is only proximal part is involved. And the right figure shows a pan-acinar type of emphysema, in which the whole acinus involved, so entire pulmonary architecture will show a emphysematous change. This figure demonstrates there is a characteristic bullae formation in case of distal acinar or irregular emphysema, and the right one shows a emphysematous change in the lung. This is a bulle formation in case of distal acinar emphysema. How it appears microscopically? There is abnormally large alveoli separated by thin septa with focal centri-acinar fibrosis. There is a loss of attachment of alveoli to the outer wall of small airways. And with advanced disease, there are even abnormal airspace and possibly bulle formation. Often the respiratory bronchioles and vasculature of lungs are deformed and compressed by emphysematous distortion of the airspace. This photograph shows a microscopic picture of the emphysema. We can very well see there is a dilated alveoli, alveolar capillaries are diminished, and there is a loss of elastic tissue from the alveoli, and there is a fibrosis of the respiratory bronchioles, and along with there are changes of bronchitis and bronchiolitis can be seen. What is a clinical picture in case of emphysema? The person is having a difficulty in breathing. Dyspnea is the first symptom, and it is usually insidious in onset and steadily progressive. Patient usually have a cough reflex, so having a cough with wheezing, weight loss, and pulmonary function test shows a reduced functional capacity. And the long time, in what happens in the patients of emphysema, there is a air will go inside and air trapped. The lungs are expand and they cannot exhale the carbon dioxide as much as they inhale the oxygen. So there is an expansion of lung and they are more and more voluminous. So person is having a barrel shaped chest. So this emphysema patient will have a barrel shaped chest. Death of emphysema is related to because of the pulmonary failure with respiratory acidosis, hypoxia and coma. There is a secondary right-sided heart failure or cor pulmonale occurs because of the pulmonary dysfunction, and collapse of lung secondary to pneumothorax. The second term is overinflation. Overinflation is a term in which the enlargement of airspace occurs, but it is not accompanied by the destruction of their wall. So it is called overinflation. While emphysema, there is an enlargement of alveoli and alveolar ducts and sacs along with the destruction of their wall. So overinflation means there is no destruction of the wall. Example is, suppose the person is having a lung tumor and it will be removed, so there is a segmental pneumonectomy. So compensatory overinflation of lung occurs, that is not accompanied by the destruction of their wall. So there are certain types of overinflation. One is a compensatory overinflation. When a part of lung is surgically removed and residual lung parenchyma undergo compensatory hyperinflation, it is called compensatory hyperinflation. Second is a obstructive overinflation. It refers to a condition in which lung expands because the air trapped within it, means air is going inside because of certain obstruction but cannot come outside. A common cause of this obstruction is any tumor or foreign body within the bronchi or bronchioles. And second example is a congenital lobar overinflation because of the hypoplasia of the bronchial cartilage. In all such cases, the air will enter into the lung during inspiration but cannot leave during the expiration. The second is a senile hyperinflation. It occurs in case of old aged people. In case of old aged people, the lung become voluminous and due to loss of elastic tissue, there is a thinning and atrophy of the alveolar ducts and alveoli, and it leads to senile hyperinflation. Interstitial emphysema. It is the entrance of air into the connective tissue stroma of the lung, mediastinum or subcutaneous tissue is called interstitial emphysema. So air will go outside from the lung parenchyma. What is the main reason behind it? There is an alveolar tear in pulmonary emphysema provides a entrance of air into the stroma of the lung. And the other causes are trauma to lung or any surgical incision or fracture of rib puncturing the lung parenchyma. It will lead to the escape of air into the subcutaneous tissue or outside the lung parenchyma. This photograph shows a interstitial emphysema in which the Air is linked from the lung while inserting the tube. So this is an interstitial emphysema in the subcutaneous tissue. Now coming to the another obstructive disease, that is a chronic bronchitis. Chronic bronchitis. It is also again common in cigarette smokers and urban dweller between the age of 40 to 65. It is defined, it is actually chronic bronchitis is clinically defined. It is defined as a persistent cough with expectoration for at least 3 months of a year for continuously 2 years in absence of other identifiable cause. So patient would have a persistent cough with expectoration in at least more than or at least 3 months, यानी 1 साल में उसको 3 महीने persistent cough रहेगा till continuously 2 years in absence of other identifiable cause. Means if person is having a pneumonia and having a cough, it is not a COPD. If person is having any tuberculous disease and having a cough with expectoration, it is not a COPD. But in absence of any cause, there is a persistent cough for 3 months for continuous 2 years, it is clinically defined as a chronic bronchitis. The diagnosis of chronic bronchitis is always made on clinical ground. What is the etiopathogenesis? Once again, the same etiology, air pollution and cigarette smoking. And also there is a occupational dust from the grains, cotton and silica. So what is the pathophysiology of chronic bronchitis? Whenever the smoke particles, we have seen the smoke particles will go inside the alveoli, it will cause emphysema. But when these chronic smoke particles will go inside the bronchi, what the bronchi will do? What is the protective mechanism in bronchi? Yes, there is a mucus secretion. So bronchi will secrete mucus to protect themselves. But whenever there is overproduction of mucus, so it's an overreaction of bronchi gradually, because when the person is a chronic smoker, there is a daily inhalation of these smoke particles and overproduction of this mucus, and this overproduction of mucus leads to mucus gland hypersecretion. So there is a overproduction of mucus is the earliest feature of chronic bronchitis, and it is associated with hypertrophy of mucosal glands. Now because there is overproduction, this mucus cast will form inside this bronchi and it will lead to inflammation and infection. So chronic bronchitis is a over or exaggerated protective response of body to the smoke. What is the morphology? Grossly, if we see the hyperemia, swelling and edema of mucous membrane and sometimes heavy mucus cast in bronchi and bronchioles. There is an enlargement of the mucus secreting glands, increased number of goblet cells, loss of ciliated epithelial cells, squamous metaplasia, dysplastic changes and bronchogenic carcinoma. Along with that, inflammation, fibrosis and narrowing of bronchioles may be seen, and there might be a coexistence of emphysema. Now this photograph shows there is a mucosal gland hypertrophy. So what happened on histological examination? There is a actually in normal bronchi there is a mucosal layer, then smooth muscle layer, then submucosal glands and cartilage. So there is a mucosal gland hypertrophy occurs in the chronic bronchitis. So normal, in case of normal bronchi, thickness of this gland, mucosal gland ratio to whole wall is less than 0.4 or 40%. While because in case of chronic bronchitis, this glandular hypertrophy occurs, so this mucosal gland upon to the whole wall ratio will be more than 0.4 or more than 50%, 40 to 50% in case of chronic bronchitis. This figure demonstrates this ratio, the Reed that is known as a Reed index, which is higher in case of chronic bronchitis. It's a gland to whole wall ratio. It is more than 0.4 in case of chronic bronchitis, and right figure demonstrate there is a hypertrophy of mucosal glands. clinically there is always a mucus production and thick mucus will be in throat. So there is a body try to remove that mucus. So the patient would have a persistent cough with a production of sputum to remove that smoke. So main feature is a chronic persistent cough with a expectoration. Person will have a hypercapnia, hypoxemia and cyanosis because there is a less oxygen entry into the bronchi and into the lung, and the secondary heart failure, right sided heart failure occur because of the pulmonary hypertension. So figure demonstrates this is a normal bronchi and this is a bronchi with a bronchitis. In case of bronchitis there is a mucus overproduction and narrowing of the lumen. So now coming to the comparison of chronic bronchitis versus emphysema. What happens in emphysema? Yes, the acinus is involved. So acinus, which include respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts and alveoli, and loss of elasticity of the alveoli, it will leads to the emphysema. While in case of chronic bronchitis, the larger airways like trachea and bronchi are involved, and because of the mucus hypersecretion, there is a narrowing of the lumen and leads to the chronic bronchitis. So whenever there is a bronchial or bronchial injury, so initially person would have a hypersecretion of mucus, bronchospasm, and initially there is a reversible obstruction in bronchi and bronchioles. But because of the person is having a continuous smoke or continuous injury, the later on there is a development of narrowing of the bronchi and bronchus leads to development of chronic bronchitis, and chronic bronchitis ultimately leads to destruction of the alveolar wall and development of emphysema. And second is a person is having a primary development of emphysema, destruction of alveolar wall and emphysema because of continuous repeated infection, secondary infection leads to development of chronic bronchitis. So many patients are usually present as a both chronic bronchitis and emphysema. So how will we differentiate between emphysema and chronic bronchitis? The appearance, clinical appearance of persons with a predominant bronchitis, they are known as a blue bloaters. Why blue bloaters? Because there is an obstruction in the bronchi and bronchus, so there is a less oxygen in the blood and more carbon dioxide in blood, and they are actually cyanosed. They have a less oxygen, so they are bluish cyanosed in appearance, so they are known as a blue bloaters. While in case of emphysema, the oxygen is coming inside but cannot exhale, so there is more and more oxygen but carbon dioxide cannot go out, so they are relatively well oxygenized, so they are pink in color, so they are known as a pink puffers. The age is 40 to 45 in case of bronchitis, while it is 50 to 75 in case of emphysema. Dyspnea is usually late in case of bronchitis, while the dyspnea is the predominant picture in case of emphysema. While cough is the most prominent picture in case of chronic bronchitis and it is late in case of emphysema. Infections are very common in case of bronchitis and it is occasional in case of emphysema. The respiratory insufficiency is repeated occur in bronchitis, while it is a terminal event in case of emphysema. Cor pulmonale is more common in case of bronchitis, it is rare and terminal in case of emphysema. Airway resistance is increased in bronchitis, it is normal or slightly increased in case of emphysema. Elastic recoil is normal in bronchitis, while it is very low in case of emphysema. And chest X-ray shows prominent vessels and large heart in case of bronchitis, and in case of emphysema there is a hyperinflation of the lung and small heart. So today's take home message is with emphysema there is a wall of alveoli which is damaged by inflammation, and there is abnormal and permanent dilatation of alveoli, respiratory bronchioles and alveolar sacs along with the destruction of their wall. While chronic bronchitis is a chronic inflammation and thickening of the wall of bronchi and bronchioles leads to narrowing of their tube and induce a cough spells. Thank you.